Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you happen to be around the world. Welcome to another office hours here on hosting.com's Agency Success. So glad you're here with us today. We, as always, will have an hour full of questions and answers all about WordPress, life, business, all of those things. And you can ask your questions at any time at wpnathan.com. Anytime throughout the week, just click the button in the header for Ask a Question. Or now you can just click the link in the chat and get those questions in there. Looks like we currently have 6 questions in the queue, but as is our habit, we'll start out with just a little bit of WordPress news, and then I have something else I want to show you that we talked about last week with agentic AI. So Corey, one of the things that I talked about in a post status column this week was this the proposal that Cloudflare CEO Matthew Prince has about a pay per crawl model. One of the big discussions that came out of WordCamp US was following the keynote of Danny Sullivan from Google, where he was asked about this very pointedly by an attendee. It was great. I think it was the question in the room of those of us that are creating really good, meaningful content for humans. Where's the incentive to keep doing that if the AI tools are just going to scrape it? And Cloudflare wants to answer that question with a pay per crawl model, where using Cloudflare's infrastructure, you can, it's going to provide a way for AI tools to compensate websites for crawling their content. What do you think about that?
The first thing I remember you talking about Danny and how you went out in the hall because he stayed for another 30 minutes and
He
really
did.
impressed you. And I hate not being at that. But when we think about this AI model, I think there's two thoughts I have. There's one part, and I won't say camp, one part, which is like Daphne Monroe, our head of SEO and website content. She's like, feed it all the things. Feed it all the things so we get attributed back. But the second is every time we talk about content and intellectual property, I think about the music and entertainment business. Think about Disney, think about all the big brands you're talking about. You know, I remember Napster. Anybody remember Napster?
Absolutely.
So that was like the first shot to get across the bow, and the music industry, everybody freaked out, right? Look where we're at today. iTunes. iTunes changed the game. Napster kind of like broke the ice and changed the game. So there's one model which is I want, personally from my own brand, I want all of it into the AI. So I was actually looking at it yesterday going, how do I get more of my stuff out there? And we're doing that at hosting.com. The second is I think I would stick close to on that content model to the music, TV, movie industry because that's where the fight's going to be, and the benefit for those that want protection are going to be in that camp. But this is sound interesting. I want to find the link and read more about what he's offering.
Yeah, indeed. So I'll drop the link to that article in the chat. Those come out weekly on post status from me. But there's an episode of the Stratechery podcast, which is an excellent podcast, by the way.
Yes.
Ben Thompson is just a brilliant asker of questions. We'll say that. But the link is there, and that's what kind of provoked that article. But definitely worth a listen. One of the things I've noticed is that many large media websites, whether they're tech media or just media at large, are requiring subscriptions now, even if it's a small subscription. Like, what's that? Just
CNN.
well, see, yeah,
CNN.
CNN, New York Times, all these they've moved to a subscription model, and gosh, I kind of is it now going to be like I've got 82 streaming services I'm paying $7 a month to, and now I've got so many. I don't know. I don't know if that's a sustainable model. It is. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out for sure.
Newspaper and media industry only did it 25 years after they probably should have been thinking about and doing it, by the way. But it's,
Right.
just a really side note. It's sad because some of those, I started my whole career in journalism. So I'm a diehard. And we need the fourth estate. We need people looking with an unbiased, and I grant that's an impossible solution, unbiased. But it's sad because like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world and it's behind a paywall. And you don't have a objective service, but
Yeah.
I
I mean,
digress.
it's hard because as a user, I love Google AI overviews. Like I ask a question and there's the answer. I don't have to click through 18 websites and drill through all these layers of ads and whatever. But as a web developer, I hate it because clients are asking questions and how do we do all the things. There is another trend also that I've noticed, particularly like the case in point for me there's a new groups of independent journalists that are sprouting everywhere, and the case in point is 404 Media. Have you heard of those folks? If you're not aware of 404 Media, it's tech related journalism, and it's like old school, real. Like they're not swayed by corporate interests because they're a subscription model, and so they're serving the people. And there's really really good stuff, and a great podcast on 404 Media that I recommend. I look at it all the time. So I don't know. We're in an interesting phase of the internet, and I love the comparison to the Napster days, and how now, gosh, it's a heck of a lot easier just to pay, $5, $8, $10 a month to Disney than it is to go try to pirate all the movies off the streaming whatever. Right? It's just
Yeah.
easier, and so maybe the tech will find a solution. I don't know.
So, because I think this is probably a conversation that might come up with your clients, everyone, but, Daphne's side is looking at the brand awareness side. Like, and we do this here. This is why we're doing these office hours, why we pulled on Nathan to do this for you is because brand awareness is incredible. We want to be everywhere. We want to show up everywhere in the right way. And I've actually got a friend, a clinician, mental health clinician. He's written 2 books and he's open to this. Now, a lot of people are guarded with their IP, but it's like when you ask a question of the AI, and this is Daphne's perspective, there's going to be a citation there. So even a brand awareness thing is like how many of those impressions comes where I start to go, okay, I'm going to Google that person or I'm going to go find that person, even if you don't get the click through. But I think over time we've seen, when I started blogging in 2006, really truly blogging, there wasn't things called content marketing. There wasn't ad networks to support content marketing, what came later on. And I think that will evolve over time to kind of flesh this out, but we're still in the middle. But would you rather get seen everywhere, which is my thing, or locked behind a paywall? Now, there's a difference. We got to get paid for things, at some point. But I just think about that a little bit as you're talking to clients. And I want to hear from you, by the way. What are you hearing from clients? So,
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to transition just a little bit. Well, first, let me just mention if you missed Daphne's live stream on Tuesday about SEO and LLMs and all the things, that replay, I believe it's up now on the YouTube channel. And so I just dropped a whole bunch of links in the chat. Toward the end is the link to the hosting.com YouTube channel. If you look on there, there are playlists for agencies success. It's called something else, agency something. But there's also one for office hours. And so that's where all the replays for all of these live streams go.
I think it's called Agency Hub, and that's a reminder for
Agency
me to
Hub,
change
that's
that.
it. Okay, so Katie's about to get that up. Yeah, so the captions are heading. So the next, sometime very soon, that will be up and ready for you. But also there in that link bundle are a few of the upcoming live streams. On Tuesday, I'll be talking about the power of recurring revenue, how to structure and build as a basis for agency recurring revenue, a solid WordPress care plan, and then also how to pick up principles from that and build other recurring revenue sources for your agency. And there's a tool involved with that we'll go through. So that's coming up Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then at the end of the month, we'll be taking that even a step further with how to leverage what hosting.com offers to add hosting to your care plans with some really clever uses of our virtual and dedicated servers and now rocket.net for managed WordPress hosting. So that's coming up on September the 30th. I invite everybody to join us for that. Okay, let me move to the first little bit of demo questions. So last week I talked about the free deal with Perplexity AI and the link was just shared again in the chat, where if you sign up for using a PayPal account or a Venmo account, you get a year free of their Pro, which is awesome. And you get access to the Comet agentic browser. Now, before I start talking agentic browsers, let me just say that there is some concern about security issues related to agentic AI. So just be sure you're not putting passwords or things like that into the browser, like into the chat. Don't do that. I mean, that's hopefully you wouldn't do that anyway with any AI tool, but just be aware, like there are some security concerns if you're dropping API keys or license keys or login information into the assistant part of an agentic AI. Hopefully you wouldn't do that anyway, but I just wanted to say it out loud so everybody heard it. So here, this is the Comet browser. This is basically a Chromium browser wrapper that the Perplexity AI is able to do things inside. So here I am on wpnathan.com, and I'm going to click the assistant window open. So this is basically like your chat with the AI over here in the browser. And I'm just going to show you what it can do in a WordPress site. Um, and now the one caveat here, it is a little bit slow. I'm sure it's going to get faster, but I'm just going to tell it to do this. Enable the PayPal payment method in WooCommerce on my site. So we're just going to give it that command. And because it's in the browser, now the little blue thing, it's taken control and it's starting to do some things. And it's telling me over there in the sidebar what it's doing. Okay, it's navigated to the dashboard. Now, could I have done this more quickly myself? Of course. But just watch how this works. And this is a machine doing these things. And because it has a browser wrapper, it can click and do and decide. All right, payments. You may have seen something like this with Elementor has a tool that brings agentic AI into Elementor, but this is in the browser and it can work for anything and do similar things. All right, so there it is. It's now going to have to have me go in probably and do the activation. Let's see how far it'll get. So thank you for that question in the chat. Yes, I was already logged in. So you probably could tell it to log in using these credentials. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. It's answering these questions I didn't see it go this far last time. Yeah, I think so in this, okay. In the store, there are both virtual and physical goods. So it was, oh my gosh. I didn't see it go this far last time. So your mileage may vary.
So as we watch this, Nathan, it's just like a pinch yourself moment. We're
Right.
watching a computer do these things right now.
Yeah. It is pretty crazy. Yes, and I was already logged in just if you missed that piece. All right, there it is. It is connected. It just needs activation, right? So I have to go in and activate my PayPal account with the login. And so that's pretty cool, right? Now WooCommerce was already activated and installed, but wow, right? Okay, watch this. All right, I just had it I had another AI tool off screen generate a blog post. I'm going to say add this blog post with the text below. I can type and generate a featured image and publish the post. And I'm just going to paste in this garbage AI blog post, title, and a few paragraphs, right? So I'm going to tell it to do that and watch this. So it's thinking about an image and then it's going to create a post and add it. Very AI generated, clearly. So it's going to posts. It should add a post, and it's going to paste it in the title. Chris says when he tried this, it went to Unsplash and got an image on its own. You could probably tell it to do that. So it's uploading the image, I believe. This is where it might take a minute. But just think about the possibilities here of if you're looking for something or whatever, having an AI tool to navigate WordPress for you. And it's a little slow right now, as you can see. I think it may have just gotten hung. It's reasoning. Yeah, but this is the dumbest it's ever going to be. So can you imagine next year at this time, 5 years from now, what this is going to be like? Pretty amazing. Yeah, so if you came in late and missed it, this browser is the Comet browser from Perplexity AI. And so as far as image optimization, if you have your image optimizer plugin set up on WordPress to do all the things, when it uploads this image, which is taking forever doing right now, we may just give up, it would optimize it for you on the WordPress side, right? But just think about the kinds of things you could do with agentic AI today. Now, another idea would be, while it's doing that, let's just go to, well, shoot, hosting.com. And let's look at our, we'll just go to all of our, let's see, how about virtual dedicated servers? And you can just ask it a question. And it will look at the page and talk to the page, right? And you've given it context by the page you're already on. So you could have it do all kinds of things.
This makes me
Look
think
at
I
that.
can't wait for all those doctor's visits, tag agency stuff. Like, hey, they don't have an online thing. Go do this for me, would you?
It's just great. So it even put a pricing chart together or a capabilities
Uh,
chart. Pretty amazing. So let's go back here. Okay, we got it added. Look, now it's going to publish the post. Well, no, it's got to post in the content. So it's like we got the featured image added. There goes the content. Yeah. So anyway, you see what the possibilities are even today with this. And this is, again, the first generation of an agentic browser. It is pretty darn cool. So there it is. It's published. I'm going to pause the assistant. I can view the post. And there it is. Look at that. It's pretty amazing. It obviously you could do this longer, but imagine as these things get better, how amazing is this going to be as a tool? Karen, what is an agentic browser? It is agentic basically means the AI is doing more than just providing information. It can actually take actions. So I would never do this, but you could open up, Google Flights and say, find me the most advantageous flight from point A to point B under this amount of cost on this day and these hours, and book it. And it would go through and, depending on what information was accessible to your account that you were logged in on, it might even be able to book it and charge your card. So basically, the agentic browser allows the AI model to take action on your behalf within the browser window. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, we'll do more training on these. And again, obviously, be wise with the information you're supplying the AI tool. Don't put in passwords. Don't put in credit card. I mean, come on, just use common sense when that is concerned. Nothing like you wouldn't put that in a chat GPT. Don't put it into an agentic browser's conversation window. Now, the browser window is different. The conversation window is where it might hold on to that information. Um, Ooh, Dave. Okay. See, I knew that we were going to get into something interesting here. That is a great question. I don't know, but should we try it? And the other question is, can I get logged into cPanel here? Let's just give it a quick test. Sorry, it's going to take me just a second here. I just moved WP Nathan over to different hosting here at hosting.com. So it's taken just a second. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're still in the Perplexity, the Comet browser, and let's take a look at our database. I don't know if it'll be able to see anything or not. let's look at the option. Okay, let's just say, okay, this there's not a big options table here. This is a pretty flat site, but can you tell me, let's say why post meta? I will be shocked if it can do this, but maybe it can. Uh, okay, it's looking. Uh, oh my gosh, y'all. Also
Wow.
be aware, if I don't think it would delete things, but you might want to have a backup. It's looked at all of it's issued a query. Okay, this is going to take a little while, but look at that. It can interact with PHP Isn't that
It,
interesting?
it occurs to me, it's like, the worry is AI taking over things. And I think it's up a level. We have to be good managers of it. Know what tasks we need. It's just like delegating to another human. Be clear. You know, this is
Yeah,
fascinating.
it really is. And a lot of this you could do with AI tools already. You could drop your table into ChatGPT, for example, or whatever. Um, Yeah, gosh. Okay. Anyway, this looks like it's going to go on for a while, but I'll pull that off to the side and keep it running, and we'll visit it in a minute. So, great question, Dave. It just think think of all the things you could do with this, and it's free. So, I would encourage you just to grab it and experiment. All right. Well, that was fun. Let's get into some questions, shall we? There are currently 10 questions in the list. So let's move on to some questions. The link, could somebody give Dave that link for the deal? Dave, if you scroll way up, it is in the chat. Um, and maybe somebody can provide that real quick while I move on to the first question, seeing as how it is 25 after already. All righty. There it is. Thank you, Elizabeth. By signing up with PayPal or Venmo, you get a year free. Just make sure you set a reminder on your calendar like a week before renewal to make sure you remember it's going to renew. Okay. First question out of the gate is from Class. Hey, Class, are you here? Yes. All right. Audio file storage for a website. I'm working on a website that will include poetry and audio recordings of poetry readings. Fun. Client will create the post and upload the audio files. For obvious reasons, you don't want the audio files on the web server. Yes. Amazon S3 is, of course, an option, but not very user friendly. What are some other storage options? Great question. So, Class, how are you displaying the audio files? Just with the standard MP3 embed for WordPress? Yeah. So what I would do is I would use Cloudflare R2, which is like S3 but way easier. Is the client going to be uploading these? I forgot to ask that. Client will create the post and upload the audio. That complicates things. Um, 'Cause I don't think a typical, like I know, well, you might be able to with Dropbox. Um, Interesting. I don't have an audio file here to test. The client does have access to their Cloudflare account. Do you trust them to do semi-technical things? It's not super hard, but it is like, are they semi-technical? Because if they are, what you can do is you can go here to R2, right? And you could create the bucket for them and they would just drop it in and they get a public link. Um, and I mean, Gene's suggestion is solid. You could just use a service like SoundCloud. I don't know if at one time I think SoundCloud put ads into the audio files that were uploaded. Um, this would be the simplest thing. Just drop them into Cloudflare R2, and you would get a a public link to drop in. It's pretty straightforward. Once the hardest part is you just have to be on the account page. And so it's not the webs like if you go into websites, that's not there. The R2 is associated with the account, not a particular website. So you go into the account and then you'll see R2 storage, and then you just add a bucket. Now, the tricky part of it is creating a CORS policy to allow access. But literally, you can just ask ChatGPT and it'll write that for you to make all the stuff in the bucket public. Then anything that's added to the bucket is available to the public. And once it's set up once, you don't have to fool with it. Does that make sense? Sue is suggesting like WP offload media, and that is another option where you just offload the whole media library to S3. That's also possible. R2 is very inexpensive. The big difference, the big difference is that they only charge based on data storage. They don't charge for access. So that's where it's a big difference from S3. So you're not paying for the amount that's going out. It's like, look at that, a penny and a half per gigabyte per month. And they give you free up to, the free tier is 10 gigs a month. So if if you've got more than 10 gigs a month, that's a lot of audio recordings, right? So it should be free essentially as well. And it's using Cloudflare's network, so delivery is super fast. Chris is asking, would you recommend moving toward this from S3? Depending on the use case, yeah. It is basically the same as S3, but cheaper. All right, great question. Next up is Karen. This is Karen M. How are you, Karen? All right. Do you happen to be familiar with and know of any alternatives to Member Zone, Growth Zone, CRM? No. I've worked with Member Zone on another builder association. The client doesn't love it. A potential builder want to give them another option. Okay. Does anybody know this niche? Builders associations. Never heard of it. Member Zone or Growth Zone. Feel free to drop any insight for Karen there in the chat. Sorry about that. Next up is Paul. When I am in File Manager and looking at a modified date of a folder, I can see it shows it was, now, Paul, you're talking about cPanel File Manager, right? I'm assuming so. You can show it was modified yesterday. However, when I go into the folder, none of the folders or contents are showing the same modified date. I don't know, man. What is up with that? Does it mean that something was modified? Yeah, that's probably what's going on. And then deleted, or it may be something buried in the folder, or is this like a flat folder stack? I don't have a good answer for that question. It should mean that something in that folder was modified on that date. Yeah, it's probably, Paul, buried down within something. But if it's in a folder, that subfolder should also have that modified date and time. Phoebe, I'm sure that's something that we could ask Comet. So you're not, Paul, you're not seeing subfolders with that date timestamp? That is weird. Could be that it was deleted. What folder is it? So it could be that it's a folder where things are coming in and out. Bunch of different folders. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a good question. Does anybody have an answer for Paul on that? I am not sure why that is happening. I don't, Paul, I may have seen it, but I just didn't know I was looking for it. I've never noticed that or been curious about it. But now I bet I will be. So thank you for that. Thank you for your service. Yes. All righty. Class is up next. To index or not to index, okay? Even on a public website, there are some pages that shouldn't really be findable, like the thank you page shown after a form submission or email subscription. Purchase or registration confirmation pages. Yeah, that is pages that display to people after they take a certain action. My thinking is that such pages should be set to no index, but is that correct? Yes, I would say that it is. So why can I am all of a sudden not logged in here? Let's take a quick look at a page. We have Yoast SEO on this site just because um, it is ubiquitous. But let's just say after, we have a thank you page after the contact page, right? And so if we were to make a thank you page here, that would be the form redirect after we fill out something on the contact page, and it lives under the contact page as a parent. And we see that, like this, then I would, in every SEO plugin for WordPress that's worth anything, is going to have a feature like this. I'm just seeing now that Yoast is not active. So let's activate it. Oh, it's not installed. Not sure how that happened. Let's get it on there real quick. It is in Yoast, it'll be under the advanced settings on the page. Okay. So now if we look here, whether you're using SEO Press or SEO fill in the blank, rank math, whatever, it's going to have something similar to this where you can mark this thank you page as no index. You don't want the purpose of indexing a page is that I want people to be able to find this in a search engine and go there directly. I don't want people going directly to the thank you page because if you're doing analytics right, you probably have some sort of an analytics code on there that's marking this as a goal, like a conversion in your analytics setting. So I don't want people to be able to access this page from a search result. So yeah, now this doesn't make the page inaccessible. So Shanta's asking, is it going to give a 404 error? No, not at all. Like we could go to contact thanks directly, and there's just nothing on the page, but it loaded the page, right? So that setting just makes it no index, meaning that it doesn't show up site map index. Oh, come on. I may have to reset permalinks. Oh, it's an underscore index. So it would show up here. So, oh, it is showing up there. Hang on a minute. So it is currently set there. Let's take a quick look at that. Edit page. I think I didn't save my changes. Okay, so we'll set this to no and hit save. And all that setting does, and similar settings in other SEO plugins, I'm going to refresh and you'll see this page drop from the sitemap. So it's not there anymore. So it's not something the search engines are going to find unless there is a link to it from another page. But even then, if you look at this page, it is going to have a no index tag in the source. Yeah, right here. So that setting also drops the no index link up here in the meta, that instructs search engines not to index it. Whether or not they follow it is up to them. So does that help? Great. Anybody have follow-up questions about that? Yeah, so any pages that you don't want to be visible in a search should be no indexed. Oh, if you have an upsell on that page, Shanta, so should you index a thank you page that has an upsell? Well, the question is, do you only want that upsell to be available to people that went through whatever flow it was that lands you on that thank you page? If it doesn't matter, then sure, index it. Unless, I mean, but still, like if you have analytics tied to that, it's going to goof up your analytics. I would, in general, not index those. Um, if for some reason, like you're not tracking conversions and it doesn't matter if people hit that page and you want to show the upsell there, then by all means index it. But in most cases, probably it's a no index. All right, let's move along to the next question from Vern. Hey, Vern. Good question so far today. All right, Vern. A coworker wants to borrow and embed this big JavaScript page. Borrow. Oh, this is from your university, though, right, Vern? It's like borrow literally. Okay. Into a an Astra Spectra block on a site we host. I have not looked at the code or what's been tried so far on our development site. The source is a standalone HTML page with a typical header, and its head block. Some of us were worried it would not render well. So what should you do? Okay. Well, let's just take a look, shall we? Oh, it's another college? So are you allowed to borrow this content? I would definitely find out about that. Okay. All right. So it's like a little JavaScript tool, right? So Vern, I would make sure you can, this is actually legally borrowable. But it looks like, let's just grab this. It is an iframe. Okay, it looks like they borrowed it as well from this source. So it's just an iframe. There it is. Yeah. They borrowed it as well. And so, I mean, okay, two ways to answer the question. Technically, it looks like you can just embed this, right? It's just an iframe and they've dropped in the source and boom, here it is. So 100% technically that should work because it's working here. We would assume that it would work on your site. The other thing is I would be real, like I would make sure that you go to whatever Justin Essery is, whoever this is, and make sure what the licensing is for this tool. Um, you know, get their permission before you embed it. That's the legal side of it. And whether or not academic use falls in, I don't know. Like all of this is it's an academic tool, right? So I would just always ask permission for something like this. But technically speaking, yes, you should be able to drop that right into an HTML block and it should work. You'll have just put the, it's just an iframe with the target on that external web page. DCG, yeah, a thank you link back is always kind. Yeah. And class, that's another good question. You are using the other guy's server bandwidth. Yes, correct. So wherever that is hosted, those people are paying for your users to load it. So that's why you would probably want to ask permission. There are ways, though, in that, the iframe buster scripts where if they didn't want that, they could break those iframes and make you go straight to that page. But they haven't done that. But I would still ask for permission. Anyway, Vern, does that help? Looks like fun to me. Yeah, it technically no problem. The other things you'd have to make a decision about. Okie dokie. One coworker wanted to rebuild it locally. I mean, it didn't look that complicated. You could probably do it pretty quickly with AI, but if it's already there and you can link to it, save yourself the trouble. All right, Karen is up next. Thank you for that one, Vern. Okay, Karen, I am wondering if I'm the only one having serious issues with ChatGPT over the last several weeks. First, it's slow. Okay. Yeah. Next, in a chat, after 3 or so back and forth, I'll ask it a question or ask it to refine something, and it will say retry. Then it gets rid of the answer already gave me and gives you a new answer. It erases a lot. Yeah. I've seen the same thing. I also get the error messages a lot, and it tells me to restart the app. That I haven't seen. So Karen, are you here, Karen? You still in the chat? You're using the app, I'm assuming, and you're not in a browser? I don't think it's ever been able to read a URL web page. It's always telling me it gets a 500 error. I'm getting frustrated. Almost want to change to Claude. Yeah. So I have had some weirdness also since the upgrade to GPT-5. There's usually, and I've mentioned this elsewhere, I've noticed that there is a dumbness that occurs in Chat GPT when they release a new model. It's just dumber for a few weeks. However, it's been way past that normal time. I'm not noticing it as much now, but I have seen what you're describing, and it is really frustrating. The reason it is so slow is that ChatGPT 5 is a hybrid of a generative and reasoning model. And what you'll see it doing is thinking longer, right? It'll say, I'm thinking about this or whatever it says about that. And what that tells you is in the course of this conversation, it has decided it will be better. You'll get a better answer from me as an AI tool if I move into a reasoning model from a generative model. And it'll move back and forth between those in the same conversation. And you'll see it say something like thinking longer. But when you do, there's always a link underneath it that's like, skip this or answer. I forget what the actual text is. It's like answer now or quick answer or whatever. And if you click that, it'll pull it out of that reasoning model and give you the generative reply, which is almost instant, usually. So that's what's going on. Does that help for the first part of this? It is much slower when you use a reasoning model. And no matter, even if you go to Claude, if you're in one of Claude's reasoning models, it takes more time. It's thinking, like thinking more deeply or whatever it says. Um, yeah, and so it is related to ChatGPT 5 update because before, you could choose your model, GPT 4o or like the O3 reasoning model or whatever. And now it's all one thing and the model decides which track it's going to use to answer your question. And yeah, the retry and errors, that's something that I noticed especially at the beginning. And I think that I don't have any direct knowledge of this, but what I can imagine is as they're deploying a new model, they've got to work out all of the computing resources behind the old models versus the new models and whatever. And there's a lot of people who've built apps around these old models that are accessing them through the API. And so they got to figure out like how do we balance out the computing requirements for our old versus new models. And at the beginning, they're just not good at it, at balancing that out. And so you get these failed responses. Now, I haven't noticed that nearly as much in the last couple of weeks. And it's probably not related to whether you're accessing it through the app or through a browser. It's probably the model itself. So what I saw you were on vacation last week. Congratulations. Good job for taking a vacation. Maybe give it a try some more this week. Is it still showing up this week? It's still bad. Claude is great. I mean, Claude, particularly with code, Claude is superior to ChatGPT. I continue to use ChatGPT because it knows so much about me already, and I've got things positioned that it's not worth the friction to move to a new tool yet. At some point, it may be. Spend $20 and try Claude for a month and see how you do. You may find that it's better for you. It is a lot of friction. Like it knows how I want things. And it almost always doesn't use emojis, although it still throws some emojis in there sometimes. But I've just about got it trained not to put emojis and M dashes in there. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Karen. Great question. Next up is Jeffrey. Hey, Jeffrey. All right. Oh, okay. Have you tried any of the AI tools discussed at WordCamp, like Cursor or Telix? What is your latest favorite AI tool for coding, agent, and version? Great question. So, Jeffrey, um, I have tried Cursor in the past. It's installed locally here on my computer. I played with Telix a little bit. And so let's just pause for a second. If anyone's not familiar with Telix, automatic, I can't type. There we go. Automatic diet. Okay. Here's the here is the link. And this is an AI tool from Automatic Proper that will write WordPress blocks for you. Um, so it's giving you some examples here. Um, how about I'll just use one of the examples. I want a block to help me pick a dog's name, whatever, right? Oh, I don't want to log in. Dadgummit. Hang on a second. Let's see how painful this process is going to be because I have so many WordPress.com accounts based on WooCommerce purchases for clients. Let's see if this works. That, by the way, is one of the most ridiculous things ever. Um, okay, here we go. And it's just, I mean, you could do this in another tool, but this is an AI specifically trained to build WordPress blocks. And no, I didn't have to check the pineapple on pizza box. Yeah. So this AI tool is just more hemmed in around the purpose of building blocks. So it's pretty cool. I haven't really used this much. We don't really have a call for custom blocks um, in the work that we do on the agency side. I haven't really used Cursor that much. I probably could benefit from it. I have not honestly had a lot of time in the last few months to explore, to just spend an afternoon learning a new tool. Um, so let's open that up. Anybody been playing with a new AI tool that they really like? It's still writing all the things. Okay, no response. Any new AI tools we haven't talked about there? Corey's been using Gemini on live streams. Yeah. Paul has been using AI actual intelligence. Okay. Well, yeah. So don't have a lot on that for you right now, Jeffrey. Although I suspect this is a sort of thing I tend to do at the end of the year break. I try not to work for at least 2 weeks at the end of the year. And during that time, I do something, I'm exploring some new tool or doing new things. And I will likely spend a lot of time on these AI tools in December. It is still writing this block. We'll let it sit there for a minute and see if it completes. All righty. Next up is Gene. Hey, Gene. I recently had a power outage and was not able to restore the last session in Chrome and lost all my windows and a mind-blowing number of tabs. Okay, honesty time. How many of you right now in your Chrome browser have more than 20 tabs open? Be honest. Be honest. Right there in the chat. Oh, love it. I I use Chrome on my iPhone for a browser, and there was one point where, like at the bottom, when you go like to the window where all of your tabs are located in the iPhone browser, it shows you the number. And at one point, it just said this because I had so many browser windows open, it quit counting. I don't know what that number was, but I mean, I was just trying to remember stuff that I'd seen on my phone, right? And I'm sure it was just stuff from, who knows, but it just went to the smiley face instead of the actual number. So Doug sees 120. So that means I had more than that because it just went to the smileys. Yeah, love it. So the question is, how do you use Chrome profiles, tab groups for clients, best tool for searching and organizing tabs? Okay, this is really, really good. There are a bunch of different bookmark tools. What I do now, I add things to Notion. Anything that I want to refer to later in my world and in my organizational system that lives in Notion, and there's a Notion page with a database for that. Um, I used to try, I used to have just 8 million browser um, buttons here, the bookmarks, and I would never look there. So I add a little bit about the site just so that with some of my own personal SEO for Notion, meaning that it'll be something I remember to look for it with later. And yeah, I use it that way. How about you folks? What do you like? What do you like for storing tabs, browser, bookmarks, that sort of thing? Paul has an extension called List Open Tabs. That's pretty cool. I haven't heard of that one. Stacy with an E likes one tab. Sue likes stackable. What are your favorite tools for this? Karen, yeah. Karen says a productivity coach friend says not to keep your browser on open tabs from last session because every tab is another decision. Yeah, I put everything in Notion just because it can live there. And also, this is another thing. The reason that I use Notion is there's a little bit of extra friction that maybe it would be easy to just add this to bookmarks and forget about it. But with Notion, I have to copy the thing and add some text, meaning it's one little extra bit so that the things that go in Notion are things I'm really probably going to actually want to look at again in the future. And so it helps to minimize some of that clutter. DCG likes one tab. Class drags links into folders on his desktop. I like that. I do that sometimes. Like if I'm going to come right back to something, I'll drag it onto the desktop. Okay, this was fun. Well, thanks everybody for that input. Gene, great question. From that, Gene, did you get any insight whatsoever other than we all mourn the loss of your many tabs in the power outage? All righty. Next up is Buckeye Beth. Beth, yes, I love the nickname. Yes, this is Buckeye Beth. I have a strange issue this past week, wondering if anyone else ever experienced it. The client's email signature image, which is hosted outside of WordPress in a root images folder, was hit over 5,000 times within the hour. Oh boy, the host auto-scaled and charged. Wow. I can't figure it out. The client is on Office 365. The email is off-site with a great IT guy. He gave me a gold star for bringing him something he's never seen. If you can give an IT guy something he's never seen, that's pretty good. I've suggested an embedded CID image if possible, and the client has agreed to move to hosting.com when their SiteGround expires. Yay! Corey, we need to follow up with this. That's awesome. Any thoughts? Okay, my first thought is excellent decision for moving to hosting.com. It has been my host of choice for coming up to a little more than 2 years now. So I would look seriously at I have never considered the idea of the bandwidth that would be created by linked images from the website. That is interesting. So there are about 8,012 different tools on the web that are like browser signature creators. I think there's one on AppSumo right now, even. And do that, and it'll pull the image from there, and you're done. And plus you can get a nicely designed signature thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think we use one, Wise Stamp, I think. It's something I got a million years ago. Yeah. And there's so many of these. Like I'm not recommending this one. This just happens to be the one that I bought many, many years ago. And it'll build your little browser or your email signature, and it hosts the image and all of that. But there's one on AppSumo right now. Like I don't even think it matters. Well, anyway, you can just search on AppSumo for email signature, and I'm sure it'll pop up. They're all the same. Like they all basically do the same thing. Yeah. So that's what I would do, Beth. That would be the easiest thing. Or, I mean, the other reason that's helpful is if it is an actual external URL, and you've all probably seen this, how sometimes those images come in as attachments on the email, and that's just annoying. And so these signature tools, tend to avoid that. So there is a link in the chat you folks can look at for that Karen just dropped in. All right, next up is Alvin. Hey, Alvin. Oh, this is the follow-up. Alvin, are you here? Yes. Okay. This is the one where you're wanting to do the filter deal for queries and tags. The client does have PowerPack and UABB. So I would use, you can use the out-of-the-box PowerPack content grid, and it will give you filterable tabs across the top. And that's all you have to do. Works great. I think there is a version of that same grid module in UABB that will do something similar. We've tried to just pick one of the packs. We don't use both of them on sites anymore, and we've landed on PowerPack. There's some things about it I don't like, but the things I like, I don't like the things about UABB more, but that's just me. Yeah, that should make it really easy. Like you just tell it what term you want to filter by, and it makes the boxes, and then it just filters. All right. Two more questions and we'll wrap up for today. Next up is Doris. Hey, Doris. All righty. Recently, I was in a social situation where several people were railing against AI. They called it evil, dangerous, useless, and very loudly. Yeah. I know these people and they are not technically experienced. One of them has never owned a computer. The other admits that she hates computers and tries to avoid them. Another is a relative of mine. They know I work with tech, so I did not know what to do besides sit there in silence until the subject changed. That sounds like a wise move, Doris. But I felt like I should do some education because AI is not going away. This situation bothered me. What would you do in this situation? Try to explain it, get up and walk away, throw my drink on their heads? Probably not the last one. But yes. Okay. So there's this thing going on lately, like in the recent past here in America, at least, where people just seem to not to have lightly held opinions about anything. Have y'all noticed that? Like people don't have lightly held opinions about anything. And it makes it hard to have a conversation because even the most mundane things can seem polarizing. And I don't know. So back to the question. What would you do? Here's the problem. Like if it was me in this situation, Doris, I don't necessarily disagree with them. I have a real tension about AI. I love it. I mean, you folks have seen if you've been watching any live streams with me in the about past few years. I love AI. I use it all the time. It is literally open with me as I work all day long, every working day. However, I fear for what AI might do to the world. It is like any new tool, there are implicit dangers. Any new tool. But this one in particular, the few things that I'm concerned about, and I'll say two things. Two things I'm concerned about are the fact that most AI tools are very what's the word I'm looking for? When they give you information, they are very certain about everything they tell you, even if they're wrong. And if you don't know enough to challenge the response and say, hey, isn't this, and they'll go, oh, yeah, you're right, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't know enough to challenge it, then you would read this response and because it's AI, you would assume that it's true, when in fact, there are multiple things every day that are factually incorrect about AI. And some people don't realize that. And there has to be some education around that. So I do commiserate with people, especially if people who are not technically savvy, that there's some fear there. AI can be deceptive, honestly. Like if you say something as a fact and it's wrong, but you're certain about it, until you're like, it's just, there's, you know, anyway. The other thing that I fear for AI is what we're already seeing in, the tech workforces and everywhere else is there's a lot of folks losing their job because the bottom 25% of the workforce they're saying can be accomplished with AI. So, I don't know what that does to the world as a whole. I just don't. I don't know what that means in the bigger picture of things. Those are questions that are far bigger than yours truly sitting in a upstairs bedroom office in Birmingham, Alabama on a Thursday afternoon. I don't know the answers to those questions. So I'm cautious about AI, but I also use it every day. Like there's the geek in me that loves it, and there's also the human being that scratches his bald head about some of the implications. So I don't know. I would probably have joined in the conversation if it was me. But yeah. Okay. I don't know. Was that even worth talking about? Oh, AI working on a database table. Yes. And then we'll do the final question. Okay, it did finish. Look at that. It gave a meaningful answer. Now, whether it's right or not, we don't know. The post meta table is large due to the accumulation of metadata from WordPress posts. Well, that's kind of a general answer. This is actually not large. I mean, we have some post meta tables that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rows. But look at this. Here is where a lot of this stuff is coming from. Cadence starter templates, that could all be deleted. Attachment files, whatever. Interesting. So, yes, it did give a meaningful answer. Thank you for tweaking me to go back to that. Interesting. Okay, final question is from Sue. Hey, Sue. All righty. A client has sponsor pages tied to events that she does. The sponsors change regularly, so she puts the listings in draft mode. Should those pages be set to no index? No, because draft pages are not viewable unless you are logged in as an editor, the author of that particular post, or an editor or higher. Does that make sense? So they do not show anywhere. They don't show, like, you can't access them. If they're in a menu, it'll go to a page not found. It'll be a 404. And they won't show in a sitemap with most WordPress SEO plugins all of them that I'm aware of. So, Sue, does that answer your question? This is Sue S. We're going to assume that answered the question. All right. Did the block? Oh, look at that. It made a block. It even loaded WordPress. How about funny names? Pick a name. Look at that. AI works again. I want a dog named Nacho. There you have it. All right. Well, with that delightful piece of technology, we will call it a day. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me for the last hour. We went a long way today, covered a lot of fun things. I am back Tuesday to talk about recurring revenue. So please join me for that. I'm going to drop that list of live streams there in the chat. Take a quick look at that and click the links fast for any that you have not yet signed up to, because I'm going to close it out here in just a minute. But Power of Recurring Revenue comes on Tuesday of this week, this next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, office hours on Thursday of next week, as always. Well, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you do no work whatsoever and enjoy the time with your friends and family. I'll see you back here Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for the Power of Recurring Revenue here on hosting.com's Agency Success, where we go further together.